couple of videos ago, I talked about how if you are somebody who is deflating or taking apart or pointing out inconsistencies in an official story of one kind or another, and someone asks you, well, okay then, smart guy, what do you think happened? You are under no obligation. In fact, you shouldn't tell them what you actually think happened, because it's not a story that you believe in, it's a story that they believe in. And what you have done is point out the numerous inconsistencies and inaccuracies of that story. And therefore, it's their job, if they're going to try to uphold or defend the story, it's their job to try to explain these anomalies, these inaccuracies, these impossibilities. Not yours. It's not yours to. They're trying to put the ball back in your court, but it's disingenuous. They're trying to, make you come up with something, and then when you say what you came up with, they were going to call you a crackpot, and say, "Oh, look what he believes. He believes this." Nevertheless, and again, somebody told me that this was Lionel Nation who proclaimed this doctrine. This is sort of the Lionel Nation doctrine, and I appreciate the reminder of who said this, because it was very profound. It struck me as a really really astute thing to keep in mind. And I haven't watched Lionel Nation in years. That's why I forgot who he was. But but nevertheless, he deserves credit for being the one who I heard this from. Now, I am going to break that rule in this video. I am going to instead of simply saying, well, there's all these problems with the official story of this so-called pandemic and this so-called vaccine. But I'm just pointing out the inaccuracies. You tell me why I should believe the official story. And then they say, well, blah 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 blah. Okay, well, anyway. Okay, smart guy, what do you think actually happened then? This time I'm actually going to take the bait, just for fun. And because I actually think the answer is an important one to speculate upon. The question of why. Why the last year has gone this way. And again, I don't say anything with certainty, but I do have some suspicions, and so I'm going to name off a few things that I think are reasons for this pandemic / vaccination op, and y'all can chime in and tell me either if you think I'm wrong about this, that, or the other thing, or if you want to add to the list of benefits that are accruing to the powers that be who have set this charade in motion, set this pantomime in motion, this dumb show. Dumb show because it's dumb. Okay, first of all, most obviously, I think, all of the lockdowns, all of the economic interruptions have had the effect of impoverishing much of the middle class, putting the middle class in danger of losing much of the middle class and the working class. Making them lose their businesses, making them lose their jobs for extended periods of time, longer in some parts of the country and longer in some parts of the world than in others. And some places in the world and then in the country, it should be pointed out, never shut down to begin with. So, this is not a monolithic sort of this is nothing going on a totally monolithic scale. Nevertheless, for the ones who are pushing it, they are monolithic in their mindset, and obviously, what came out of all of this, what has come out of all of this, is this vast transfer of wealth. The rich get richer. I mean, this has been charted and this has been documented in a few places. I can't remember the places where I saw them, where I saw these statistics right now. But you got the big, huge, the too big to fail corporation types, the ones who are in bed with big power, the ones who are who have a seat at the table. You got the Walmarts and the McDonald's and the other major corporations. They stay in business. They have stayed in business. They've been deemed essential. The mom and pop places, they have been said they have been kicked to the curb. They've been told you're not essential, so you better close down. And so we have had this transfer of wealth from the middle class, the working class, the working poor, to the super rich, and to the elite, generally speaking. Microsoft, of course, Amazon, of course. The world's billionaires are now have billions more than they already had after all of this. So in that way, it's it's a wealth transfer that benefits the ones who already have most of the wealth, already have most of the power. But on the other hand, why do this? Why if you're already incredibly rich and just untouchable, and you already have an enormous amount of power, why pull a stunt like this? And that, I think, leads into the second way that this benefits them and their designs, is that this represents a stepping up of the surveillance state, with contact tracing, with the absence of privacy, as far as medical records go. It's really quite extraordinary when you think, when you make a comparison to AIDS, when AIDS came on the scene in the 80s and the 90s, and how, such a big deal was made of, oh, you can't ask people if they have AIDS. You can't make them test for AIDS in order to work in any job. You can't. For a time, they even said people who give blood should not be tested for AIDS, and that actually was allowed to stand. And so, as a result, a lot of kids who needed blood transfusions became AIDS infected. That was as big of a medical atrocity as anything that Cuomo and Newsom and wretched Gretchen are doing now with the nursing home massacres that they've been orchestrating. I mean, that was medical malfeasance, if that's the right word. Is that was felonious malfeasance, if that's not a contradiction in terms. But compare that to now. You have absolutely no right to privacy about your health. You have to tell people if you are infected with this virus that they've made up, or that might exist, but is of no is is bogus as far as actually causing the kind of damage that they try to project it as causing. And yet, they're promoting these stepped up surveillance state kinds of positions where they can track you. And I'm not even talking about anything that some of you would consider paranoid. Like, I'm not saying they're putting something in the vax that helps track that acts as a tracker or anything like that. No, it's just they're doing these things like, okay, well, if you test positive on this test that doesn't test for the virus, but everybody acts like it does, then you have to report that you tested positive, and then everybody who you were ever around, they have to get the report that you tested positive, and now they're suspect, and that's what they want to do with the contact tracing, the electronic contact tracing. So it represents a reason, an excuse to step up the surveillance state, as if we needed, as if we were just entirely too free, and we had entirely too much privacy, and the government wasn't spying on us enough. We need this so-called pandemic came around to convince us that we needed to be spied on much more than we're already getting spied on. Incidentally, this is just a side note. How many of you actually think that they're not installing cameras in public restrooms? Do you really think? I mean, it's a pretty disgusting. Not only it's a pretty disturbing, but also disgusting notion. But I mean, do you really think they're going to let these private places remain private? Do you really think that they'll let you go someplace like that where you're supposed to be given privacy, and that they aren't aware that people, when they are in their in private settings, are more likely to do or say things that they might be interested in? And I mean, I don't know. Maybe they don't have them in every stall at every location everywhere, but I just would be really, really surprised at this point if there aren't restroom cameras. Plus, they're perverts, the people who spy on us. We know that they're perverts, so we know they probably just get off on it too. There's that aspect of it as well. So anyway, the so-called pandemic benefits them, and the so-called vax benefits them because, number one, it kicks more money their way, and it takes more money away from the ones whom they despise, the ones whom who are getting in the way of their plans to create this great reset. I mean, I think that that's been the rhetoric around the Great Reset, is that, well, we've got this huge health crisis going on right now, and so what we need to do is institute this Great Reset, and reduce state sovereignty, reduce individual rights, and I don't know what exactly all the things are that they have in mind with the Great Reset. I do know that it's not a world that I want to live in, and it's a world I'll fight like hell against, and I hope you will too. But it's easy to see how this quote-unquote crisis helps to facilitate this Great Reset. But beyond these things, beyond helping to push the surveillance state, beyond helping to enrich the wealthy more than they already are, in addition to impoverishing the have-nots or the have-littles or the have modest amounts. In addition to all of those things, I believe, I think it's very likely that this is just a great experiment, that we are rats in a cage being experimented on. And they see us as rats. To them, we are just lab rats. And our reactions and responses to things intrigue them, you know, like they intrigue the men in lab coats sitting uh, in those labs doing these things to rats, you know, to see what will make them making them making them endure different types of stress, how that will make them behave. You know, uh, having them do absurd or obscene things, how that will, you know, how far can they be pushed, right? Before they'll push back, before they'll say, hell no, no more of this. Um, I mean, I think it's entirely plausible. It seems to me to be completely plausible that that's the whole reason for this mask mandate wherever it is found.